Today we're going to talk about the benefits of individual row hydraulic downforce system, or IRHD, as a John Deere solution with components provided from Dawn Manufacturing. This system provides 50 to 450 pounds of applied downforce and provides an accumulator to dampen any obstructions that you may hit with your row unit to protect those row unit components. The system is run through your SeedStar display in the tractor cab with one common target margin across all rows. That margin is measured on each row individually from this load sensor on the row unit. The goal is to keep a consistent amount of load or margin on those gauge wheels, so each row is controlled individually by the actuator to apply the proper amount of downforce needed to achieve that margin on each row. So for instance, if you're in a no-till field where you have some wheel tracks, the system will apply more downforce on those rows and keep the rows that are in untouched soil at a lower rate to keep a common margin across all rows. That will provide your optimum seed trench to make sure that you maintain depth and keep your ground contact at 97% or higher. Next, we'll go into the cab and explain exactly how to set this system on the display and how easy it is to keep your margin across the whole machine. All right, so we just discussed the components of IRHD, or individual row hydraulic downforce. Now we're going to go through some of the adjustments that you can make on the display. Right now we're using a Gen 4 display as part of this tractor. We're in a no-till field today. So you'll see up here we have a target margin of 120 pounds. We're running a little over 140 for actual. Just like pneumatic downforce, you can adjust the margin up here and change your target. You'll see we have margin selected, so that's what we're looking at across the board. All rows individually controlled. Up here we have our average margin for the planter, and then down here we have our average applied downforce. Now with IRHD we can select this tab and look at our individual applied downforce by row. And you can see some rows are higher than others. That's because of soil differences between those rows. So the higher ones are more in a compacted zone, and a lower row would be in a more mellow soil condition where it doesn't need as much downforce. You'll see here we're coming up on a harder, more compacted zone. So we've been running under 200 pounds applied to maintain that 120 pound margin. So keep an eye on the applied downforce right here and our margin as we cross. Now we're getting into that compacted zone, so the rows are starting to apply more downforce. So we're up to over 200 and climbing, but we're still maintaining that margin. Our ground contact is still staying in the mid to upper 90s. Now we're coming out of the zone, so you'll start to see the applied downforce start to come back down. When you're in the downforce tab, you can watch your average margin here. Go back to our margin view, and your average downforce is shown in that corner. So to find out more information on this and compatibility, see your John Deere dealer for more information.